man has died after he was bitten by a snake.
It's a frickin' crate.
Don't die on me, man!
When your adventures take you to the grave, you know you lived big. While most of us don't quite fancy the crawling, scaly reptiles, there was one man in the US who not only lived for reptiles, but also died for them. On September 11, 2001, in the lush jungles of Myanmar, a group of scientists led by Joseph Slowinski were on a mission to discover new species. Little did the world know, this mission would give birth to a bone-chilling tragedy. Joseph Bruno Slowinski was a passionate herpetologist, which means he studied reptiles and amphibians. Born in 1962, he grew up with a deep love for nature and its creatures. Slowinski spent much of his life exploring the jungles and forests of places like Southeast Asia and Central America, searching for rare and undiscovered species of snakes and other reptiles. He became known for his fearless approach to handling dangerous snakes, always eager to learn more about them. Slowinski was particularly interested in venomous snakes and made significant contributions to understanding their behavior and biology. In the middle of the jungle, where danger hid in every shadow, Joseph Slowinski was familiar with the dangers that surrounded him. His life had been dedicated to studying snakes that moved smoothly through the thick bushes or struck with their poisonous fangs. One day, while Joseph was deeply involved in studying snakes, a villager from Burma approached him with a seemingly harmless bag containing a small snake. Joseph, skilled in handling snakes, paid little attention, assuming it was not dangerous. However, not everyone had his level of knowledge. The unsuspecting villager, confident in his ability to catch the snake safely, gave it to Joseph without much thought. Joseph confidently reached into the bag to hold the snake. But you know how they say curiosity kills the cat? In this case, it killed a full-grown man. In an instant, Joseph felt a sharp pain shoot up his arm, indicating a poisonous bite. Pulling his hand back, Joseph saw the deadly snake firmly biting his skin, its teeth sinking deep. He suddenly realized his mistake, and a feeling of dread filled him as he understood the serious consequences of his actions. But what happened next? How did this simple bite shut down Joseph's systems? And above all, who should be held accountable for this? Joe wasn't like most people. While many found snakes dreadful and scary, Joe was absolutely fascinated by them. He had a knack for handling these scaly creatures ever since he was a young boy growing up. His love for snakes started when he was just 5 years old. That's when he got his first snake, a giant rat snake. By the time he was 15, he had been bitten by a snake for the first time, but that didn't scare him one bit. Instead, it fueled his curiosity even more. As he grew older and went to Kansas University, Joseph's fascination with snakes only deepened. He was even bitten by a copperhead snake once, which made his thumb swell up like a balloon. Instead of taking it easy, Joseph continued to catch copperheads with his other hand. He was determined to learn more about these creatures. After completing his PhD in herpetology from Miami University, Joseph specialized in studying snakes, which are some of the deadliest reptiles in the world. These include cobras, mambas, sea snakes, coral snakes, and kraits. Despite the dangers, Joseph embraced his passion for studying these formidable creatures. Joseph eventually became the curator of the Department of Herpetology at the California Academy of Sciences. But he wasn't content with just sitting behind a desk. He preferred being out in the field, exploring forests, and discovering new species of snakes and amphibians. One of his favorite places to explore was Myanmar, a biodiversity hotspot teeming with a variety of wildlife. He was particularly drawn to Myanmar because it was home to cobras, which fascinated him immensely. Over the years, Joseph traveled extensively across the United States, Mexico, Peru, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. But it was Myanmar that captured his heart. He spent countless hours exploring the forests of Myanmar, discovering new species of snakes and amphibians along the way. In 1997, Joseph made a groundbreaking discovery in Myanmar when he found 18 new species of amphibians and snakes, including a new species of spitting cobra. It was during this adventure that Joseph experienced his first major venom attack. A cobra spat venom into his eyes, causing excruciating pain. Thankfully, the villagers accompanying his team knew how to treat snake bites and saved John from going blind by using natural remedies like tamarind juice. Despite the dangers, Joseph remained undeterred. He continued his research and exploration. driven by his insatiable curiosity and passion for snakes. However, his luck ran out during a fateful trip to Myanmar in September 2001. In September 2001, Joseph sensed this journey was unlike any other. They were diving deep into a remote forest, far from any help if things went awry. The Myanmar government had promised 2 military doctors to join their team, but they never showed up, leaving them completely cut off from civilization. Despite this, Joseph was extra cautious, ensuring no unnecessary risks were taken by his team. Everything seemed to be going smoothly until the 5th day of their expedition, September 11th. The monsoon was raging, enveloping the forest in thick fog with poor visibility. In the early morning, a local guide approached Joseph with a sack, claiming to have caught a harmless bandit snake. Trusting the guide's judgment, Joseph reached into the sack, only to feel a sharp, searing pain shoot through his fingers. When he withdrew his hand, he found a juvenile mini bandit crate attached to his finger, one of the deadliest snakes on the planet. Joseph knew he was in trouble. Even though he stayed calm, he couldn't ignore the tingling in his hands caused by the venomous snake bite. Unable to take any antivenom due to allergies, he applied first aid and joined his team for breakfast. With the venom already working its way through his body, Joseph knew he had to act fast. Now, you will surely call it a power move, because Joseph sent 2 locals for help from the nearby town, gathered his team, and explained the situation. Without treatment, the venom would paralyze him, attack his nervous system, and eventually stop his breathing and circulation. He needed to be kept alive for 48 hours until his body could start fighting back and eliminate the venom naturally. It was going to be a tough journey, but Joseph was determined to survive. Joseph had been in a tough spot, fighting a battle with his words for what seemed like forever. His eyes, once sharp and focused, now blurred everything around him. Breathing became a challenge and his heartbeat slowed to an uncomfortable pace. Desperate for help, Joseph weakly signaled to his team. As the clock struck 9 a.m., Joseph hit a breaking point. Words refused to escape his lips and his eyes refused to open. The toll of the battle had taken its toll, leaving him silent and motionless. The struggle had reached its limit. Joseph was still conscious, but he could hardly move. With great effort, he signaled for a pen and paper. Even though he was in agony and almost paralyzed, he forced himself to write, "Blow harder." The team took turns giving him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and after a while, he wrote again, this time saying, "Let me die." He couldn't bear the pain anymore. By 3 p.m., the local guys returned, and they made a wise decision to call for help from the army. They wanted to send a helicopter to pick up Joseph, but the weather was terrible. Fog and rain made visibility poor, and there was a military situation in the area, so all aircraft were grounded. It was a miracle that Joseph had held on for so long. What was astonishing was Joseph's resilience. Despite his condition, he fought to stay alive. Even though he couldn't speak, his mind was clear. He remembered the day he had wanted to hold a snake in his hands. Now, after years of experience, one mistake was about to cost him his life. He knew he was dying. The next day, helicopters and a military medical team finally arrived, but it was too late. Joseph had passed away. Despite getting bitten by snakes many times and facing all sorts of challenges, Joseph kept exploring the world of reptiles, making cool discoveries in places like Myanmar and beyond. Even though Joseph is no longer with us, his work lives on through the many new snake species he found, some even named after him. Scientists everywhere appreciate what he did for snake science and nature protection, understanding the risks he took just to learn more. Thinking about Joseph's story reminds us that a life filled with excitement and purpose, even when it's tough, can make a big difference. So, when you're out there having your own adventures, remember the tale of Joseph Slowinski, a guy who lived life to the fullest. If Joseph's story left you on the edge of your seat, craving more adventures and tales of courage, hit that like button, share the video with your tribe, and subscribe for a front row seat to more such stories. Until our next adventure, stay wild and keep the curiosity alive.